Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. My question today is, what do you think will be the next strategy for the anti-gunners to infringe on our Second Amendment rights? Even if the Supreme Court starts enforcing the things they've said up till now, and they get rid of things like assault weapons bans, magazine bans, taxes on firearms, etc., which they're not doing a real good job of enforcing their rulings. It seems they make rulings and then states just ignore them, and the Supreme Court goes, it's not our fault. But if those things even became enforced, what do you think would be the next steps of the anti-gunners? I personally, to get the ball rolling here, the thing I've always been worried about them doing is going after online sales. Because right now, so much of America's gun sales are online. And I've warned people about that for a long time. I've always said, buy local. When you buy online, you're consolidating where you get your guns from, and that makes it easier for them to go after them. Because all the government would have to use is use the Interstate Commerce Clause to say that when you purchase a gun, you have to be present at the initial point of sale, meaning when you're buying a gun, you got to do it in person. That's all they'd have to do. And most people are going to be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. You got to be there to buy a gun. So we'll prove that. We'll pass that law. And that would mean no more buying online, because that purchase is initiated with that retailer that's in another state. So if that dried up instantly, you'd lose a lot of the gun retailers that are out there now. They just wouldn't be able to survive without their online business, because a lot of them are just drop ship companies, et cetera, directly from the distributors. So that would all go away. Your local retailers aren't going to be able to take up the slack very quickly. They just wouldn't be able to. Distributors would lose a lot of their business. Gun sales would go down. You know, right now they're trying really hard to maintain unmaintainable sales numbers in the gun industry, which is one of the reasons that fear mongering and panic buying is so important. If we lost some of the major sources for guns, where that flow went through to the people, there'd be a real boondoggle for a long time. It would put a lot of retailers out of business, even though they had more demand than ever. Locally, a lot of the big companies would go out, distributors would go under, manufacturers would suffer. And I think that's one of the big things they're going to do. Other than that, and going after technologies like 3D printers, et cetera, and possibly going after ammo. Because one thing they've been doing that concerns me also is the whole, well, magazines aren't arms, so they're not protected by the Second Amendment. Suppressors aren't arms, so they're not protected. How long is it going to be till they're saying ammo is not really a gun, it's not arms, so we can do what we want with it? So that's another big fear, going after ammo. Let's see what other people think, because that's what I think. We'll see if anybody's got any different ideas over here, or if they agree with me or whatever. It's all personal opinion. Remember, nobody's right or wrong here. This is just playing fortune teller. Edgar Cortez. To impede the manufacture and sale of AR-15 and AK-47 type weapons, the AR is the most fun rifle. Yeah, but how are they going to go after? How are they going to do that? Now, like I said, taking out online sales would take down a lot of the AR-15 market. But how are they going to do it? What is their actual step? You know, their strategy. Go Shadow. Next, ban lead ammo, then all other dangerous ammo. I think lead ammo is one thing they will definitely eventually go after. And I've made that point for years. People attack me over it because I say, get rid of lead. It's poison and it's stupid. And I said the whole point is that because they can use that lead is poison and it's been taken out of pretty much everything else that it's used for, they'll be able to show the public, tell the public, convince the public that lead's poison. We got to quit using it. There's other options. They can use other stuff. And then people will say, yeah, no, ban lead ammo. The industry has been real reluctant to switch over. There are polymers that will perform just like lead now. We have some that perform identical to lead. They're not that expensive to make if they were made in mass quantities. Making solid copper bullets, if ammo manufacturers didn't try to profiteer off the fact that they're different, that would cost, like materials wise, an extra maybe 5 cents for a box of 20. So cost isn't the reason they're not going to it. They just don't want to gear up for it. They don't want to switch over to it because it costs some money to do that. And eventually when they ban lead ammo, we're going to be caught flat-footed. The industry is going to be caught flat-footed. There's going to be huge ammo shortages. Ammo is going to go through the roof, and that's really going to hurt a lot of people. But people refuse to get ahead of the issue. That I already read from Ghost Shadow and did it. Mr. Furley, assault weapons ban, magazine limits, universal background checks. Yeah, but they do all those things already. That stuff, assault weapons ban, that could easily be overturned now if the Supreme Court would get off their butts. So would magazine limits. Now, the universal background checks, those are something that they're trying hard to get in place. Haven't had much success yet, but they're working on it. They're winning state by state. We used to be able to do private sales here in Washington. We can't do them no more. Mike D, everything. They slip this in, that in, saying this blocks that. They won't stop till they ban a potato gun. Might let you have a single shotgun. Maybe a single shot shotgun, maybe, but that's all we need, really. According to Biden, we just need a shotgun. Of course, if it's single shot, if you shoot it in the air to scare them off or shoot it into the door to scare them off, you're going to have to reload. And they're probably going to limit how many rounds you're allowed to have on you. Like you can only have 2 more rounds in your pocket. If you get caught with more than 2 rounds in your pocket, well, then you're in trouble. That was Mikey D. Johnny Mandrick chimed in and says they are going to stick to the plan of driving gun shops and manufacturers out of business and making it too expensive for an average person to afford a gun. Afford even. Yes, I agree. I think that is their main goal right now. If you pay attention to most of the laws being passed, it's not about making it impossible for somebody to own a gun. It's just about making you jump through hoops, delaying how long it takes to buy one, requiring gun shops to store more stuff in their buildings, have better security measures. It's all about placing burdens on the retailer. And that's what they're trying to do right now is get rid of the retailers. Because if they get rid of all the local retailers, well, then it's not hard to get rid of the online retailers either, like I said. It's all incremental steps. Death by 1,000 cuts. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, it makes sense that a gun shop should have to have 6 months of recording with audio for someone buying a gun in case they need to trace who bought a gun. How does that even help? It doesn't help. It doesn't make it more likely you're going to catch anybody because you can go right there right now and you can get their name, their social security number, and everything else. What is having an image of them going to do for law enforcement? Nothing. It just places a huge financial burden on gun shops. Danny Pint says, I have no comment on the topic. It makes me sad. A lot of this stuff makes me sad. It makes me angry. And then it makes me angry at the gun community when they're stubborn and refuse to actually address real issues because they've been distracted by all the base stuff that's meant to keep them angry, divided, and buying up at an unusual rate. It just pisses me off. Letting Republicans do them for them. No playbook. Well, the Republicans are helping because you got to remember the Republicans are controlled by the same people the Democrats are. It's the same organizations, corporations, and oligarchs that pay them all. Danny Pennant says, except for that comment, he's not going to comment on it other than the comment he made because it makes him sad. Is that half-wit Kess Jr.? I don't know what that is. New Jersey bill proposes all in a home pass a background check. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Because the dad goes out and buys a background check, every person in their house has to pass a background check. And what if they're too young to pass a background check? Do you have to wait till they're 18? I don't know. A lot of things. That would be the next step. Practical Bacon, not saying nothing. Don't want to give them any ideas. Believe me, they already thought of anything you can think of. I have been privileged to the inner workings of some of these organizations and their think tanks. Usually the first thing they think of is, what is something we can do that will give us the biggest return on our investment? Because they make money off this anti-gun stuff. That's their top priority. Their secondary priority is to do long-term damage to the firearm industry, to kill it slowly so that they can make as much money off of it over time as they can. But you ain't giving them no ideas they don't already have. Gummy Wuzzle, seriously, Dems don't need to do anything while there is still talk of martial law and constitutional crisis. Worry about Trump's ego. Well, yeah, the thoughts of martial law, you think would be making people buy more guns and want to have more guns, in my opinion. Because if I knew things are going to go to shit, well, I want to be well armed. I want to be stocked with ammo, food, everything else. So there's that. That was Gummy Wuzzle. We got Mikey D here. And he said, everything you're playing checkers, they play chess. They throw everything out, even if it already ruled unconstitutional. They will drag it out for years. Well, yeah, that's a lot of the stuff they throw out that's unconstitutional is just part of their thing. They know, hey, this will get overturned in 2 years, but we'll drive half the gun shops in the town out of business, or the state out of business with it until then. Because, hey, if we pass an assault weapons ban like they did in the state of Washington, even if it gets overturned in 2 to 3 years, which is as long as we can draw it out, in that time, half the gun shops will go out of business because they've lost their number one seller, semi-automatic rifles. So we'll fuck them over. And we know it won't stand. We know it's unconstitutional. We know it'll cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars to fight it, but we'll have gotten our end goal. We will have served Bloomberg, who gives us our money directly. Iowa Joe, surprised they haven't attacked reloading like ghost guns. They haven't yet, but, going after powders, how hard would it be to convince most Americans that you shouldn't be able to buy primers? Because that's just people at home making arsenals with primers. They don't need those. They can go out and buy ammo just like everybody else. Why are they making their own ammo at home? What are they getting ready to do? It wouldn't be hard to convince most Americans of that because they don't pay attention. Hold on a second here. We got one more person weighing in here. We're on our last person, and it's Mark Lopez. Ban heavy load ammo. Think of the bears. You mean like banning higher powered ammos, like limiting them to SAMI specs or something, or lower? That's something they could try. I'm not sure exactly how they would do that, but I guess they would be like, well, same thing with like armor piercing. Like, nobody needs that. And then I guess they could do the whole, nobody needs ammo that'll take down a bear or take down an elephant. That's just so they can shoot cops that are wearing body armor. So I can see how they would make the argument for it. And unfortunately, in a world where we have allowed the gun community to become smaller and smaller and smaller by limiting access to it through other ideas and notions that you have to subscribe to be part of the gun community, it makes it easier to pass things like that. So that is something I would definitely be afraid of. But as I was saying here, those are the things I think, and a lot of the people in here think are going to be happening as far as gun rights. So keep your eyes open and work on growing the gun community instead of shrinking it, so that a lot of these things are harder to be put forward. But that's what the people in the chat think. That's what I think. How about you guys out there in YouTube land? What do you think? What do you think is going to be the next steps for the anti-gunners when it comes to infringing upon our Second Amendment rights? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, come on into the live chat, do so. We do live chats every night at 6 p.m. So come on in, be part of the conversation, and stick around till the after chat, where we talk about whatever you all want to talk about. It's an open chat. So hope to see you in a chat soon. Thanks once again to people who participated. I'll see y'all again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.